Warframe is a huge game, so it's really easy to get lost in its vast universe of different game modes, missions, frames, and weapons. Especially as a new player, you are almost certainly gonna make some mistakes early on. I have now played Warframe for a few months and have learned a few things here and there. So today we'll be going over 10 mistakes I did early on I wish I knew about earlier. My name is Tipsy, and let's get into the video. The first mistake we'll be going over is not practicing your MR test. In Warframe, MR rank or mastery ranks are something that is basically the equivalent of your level in game. Certain weapons and other stuff in the game is locked behind your MR rank, and every time you hit the level up requirement of affinity to actually level up, you will be greeted with a MR test or a mastery rank test. When you start up your mastery rank test right here in the beginning, you'll be greeted with begin test, but down in the right corner you will actually be able to see there's a button called practice. For me personally, I didn't notice this practice button before I hit MR 13, and I wish I knew about this earlier so I wouldn't fail my mastery rank test. Because when you fail a mastery rank test, you will be locked out of the mastery rank test for 24 hours before you can do it again. You will also be able to practice your MR test and older tests before actually getting to the point where you can level up from your menu. If you go to your navigation, go to any relay on the map, draw a relay in this example right here. When you get to the relay, you will just hit fast travel and go to the chapel on Samaris, and then turn a straight right here, and you'll be able to do all of your older MR tests, as you see here, as well as the newest one. So I will be able to practice my MR 22 test right here, as I'm still only MR 21, and I haven't gotten to the point where I can do it yet. So if I just go up to my mastery rank 22 test, I can start my mastery rank test and I can test it out and practice it. So I know I can complete my mastery rank test when I have to. But the next mistake is not using your beginner plat on either Warframe slots or weapon slots. So when you start Warframe, you will be giving 50 plat, which you will not be able to trade with other players, and this can be used on the Warframe market right here. So I would definitely recommend using your Warframe plat you get at the beginning or your beginner's plat on weapon slots or Warframe slots as you see fit. One mistake I've seen is actually people using your beginner plat on either Dabo Steel or something else in the game, and I would definitely recommend you using this on either weapon slots or Warframe slots as you see fit, as you will definitely be running out of Warframe and weapon slots quite early on. So this is just a little quick mistake I remember doing. I almost spent my plat on something else. I actually spent most of my plat on something else and only had enough to get one Warframe slot and didn't have any weapon slots when I needed it. So I would definitely recommend saving your beginner's plat for weapon or Warframe slots. But the third mistake we'll be going over is actually selling quest items, certain frames and certain weapons. So on Warframe, of course, you do only have a certain amount of Warframe slots and weapon slots early on, but quest items are fairly hard to get back when you actually sell them, especially early on, because they're gonna be reputation based. When you get your quest items and you actually sell them, there's gonna be one way to get them back. That is gonna be going to the Samaris and actually buying them. You're not gonna farm the item again, you're just gonna buy it with reputation, which can be very tedious to farm, as you only have a maximum of reputation every day you can farm. So let's say you go and you get your Exarus, you level it up or you don't, and you end up selling it because you need more weapon slots, as that is a problem early on. I would not recommend selling that because it is not a weapon you just go and farm. You basically have to go and farm reputation, as you see here with Chapel and Samaris. You'll be able to find most of the items you get rewarded in quests, and you can buy them back. The thing is, these items are not cheap to get back. The Exarus is gonna cost you 100k just for the blueprint alone, 15k for one of the blade parts, 15k for a core part, and 15k for a handle. And you can only get a certain amount of reputation each day. So there's gonna be two boxes you have to check when you want to sell a weapon before you actually go and sell it. Check if it's a quest item first to see if it's very tedious to farm back if you in the future want it again. Then there's a second thing. Certain weapons in this game are actually required to craft other weapons. So certain weapons like akimbo weapons, where you actually have to have two pieces of the same weapon to craft a third weapon. There's a Wikipedia page to be able to see all of these weapons. So before selling any weapons in the game, I would recommend you to check if it's a quest item first, and if it's not a quest item, I would recommend checking the link in the description for Warframe weapons that are required as crafting resources. So certain weapons in the game actually will be used to craft other weapons. So for this example, as you see right here, this is one of the weapons in the game that requires you to use other weapons as crafting resources or crafting ingredients. ingredients. The Pantera right here requires you to have a Mytha and a Haiku weapon, and they need to be built and ready and in your inventory to actually craft the weapon here. So go check if it's a quest item and go check the link in the description to see if it's one of the weapons you actually need to craft other weapons in the game. For the last part of this mistake is actually selling your frames earlier. So in Warframe, just to keep it spoiler free, you will later on unlock something in the game which requires you to actually have normal frames, and you will want to have all of the normal frames to actually use this to the best potential it has. So I know Warframe slots might be a little annoying, so I would instead recommend you to just, at least if you think you're not gonna use this frame, just keep it in your foundry. Don't take it over, because it will hurt you more to actually delete the frame, at least if it's a harder frame to get, as you will be able to later on use this frame and you will throw it out technically. So instead of selling it, I would recommend waiting until you unlock this thing in the game where you can actually use the frame instead. So in Warframe there's a lot of items and frames and other things, and you only do have a certain amount of slots early on, but I would definitely recommend just checking in before selling stuff, because it can, and some things will be harder and annoying to actually farm later on in the game, and you will be annoyed that you actually sold it early. So just keep that in mind. So for the next mistake is not bleaching your alliance as soon as you can. At Mastery Rank 3 you unlock the Syndicate console right here, and you'll be able to go and pledge your allegiance to one of the 6 factions in the game. You will be able to pledge allegiance, and you will get an allied and a opposed faction together with the enemy faction. And then the last 2 factions will be neutral. So I would recommend going ahead, checking the different factions, see what they offer, and choose a faction to go with. Most people in the game choose Steel Meridian as it is the most chosen faction. That means some of the items in Steel Meridian will sell for a little bit less plat if you're planning on actually trading this stuff. So if you need a little bit of passive plat when you actually have reached the ranks with your chosen factions, certain things in the faction sell for around 10, 15, 20 plat. So you quite easily be able to get a little bit of extra plat on the sideline just by passively playing basically. You'll be able to sell this and maybe get your Warframe slots or weapon slots. So I definitely recommend going in, choosing your faction as soon as possible when you unlock it at MR3. So a little quick tip for the people that like to min-max, and just to let you know that it is possible, you can actually have more than 2 factions if you're willing to juggle the experience back and forward. I don't know how to do this exactly. I would recommend checking out a guide for that, because it is gonna require some extra time and some knowledge about how this works and the reputation system. But it is possible, but I'm letting you know it just so you know that it is possible to actually juggle more than 2 factions. Some people have 3 factions, some people have 4 factions. It just depends on how willing you are to actually min-max this system. So one of my mistakes I made early on was actually maxing one of my first mods to 10, and that cost me over 30k endo, which actually held me back a lot, so I couldn't upgrade a lot of my other mods. So I recommend just going for 8 and trying to keep your numbers even, so you don't lose out on capacity when actually modding them into polarity slots too. This is just a quick little mistake I remember doing early on. Don't max your mods, and try and keep the numbers even, especially early on, until you have your resources and capacity to actually max out your mods without it costing too much in capacity in your frames. For this example, we'll be going over quickly just to show you what the difference is between even and odd numbers here. So in Warframe, you have polarity slots, which will match the element of the mod you're looking at. If I'm gonna put in a mod, they will cut it in half when I put it in the right polarity slot. So a 12 would turn into a 6, and a 14 will turn into a 7. Now, if you have an uneven one, here we have Equilibrium, which is at 9, and it's costing 13 capacity. If I put this in now, it will turn into a 7 too. So as you see, a 13 and a 14 will turn into the same, because it will take the upper rank. So it will cut it in half in uneven numbers, but add the extra number on top. Also, this will also help because you definitely don't want to max your mods early on, as this will cost you even more capacity. Try and keep them at around 6 or 8 for the level 10 ones, because it will cost an insane amount of endo and credits to actually max them out. So for this mistake, it is actually neglecting your Warframes. Your Warframe has abilities that are very useful, and early on you might feel like you're just using your weapons and that is fine and everything, and then you're neglecting how your Warframe actually works, what abilities they have, and the synergy they might have. A lot of the Warframes in this game has some very interesting abilities, and fun abilities for that matter, that will actually feel very nice to use and will be lovely when you know what they do. So I would definitely recommend, when you get a new Warframe, go into the ability tab and actually read what the abilities do and what they have. Some abilities have synergies with other abilities, and they will work in alignment with other things. As early on you might just go with your weapon and think that's fine, and maybe just press one ability here and there because it doesn't really do much. But as soon as you learn it, certain abilities will actually make the whole experience different. So I would definitely recommend learning your Warframes. Take a little bit of time, read through the abilities, see what they do, see what the synergies are and what they are actually special at. This will also be a very good thing later on when you begin to learn the Warframes and actually begin building the mods for them, as you know what the Warframe is good at and what it's bad at. It's not only your weapon that is important, it is your whole loadout and the synergy between your items. So knowing more about your frame and your weapons and how they work together and what they do will definitely help you on the long run. So go ahead and just take a little bit of time to learn your frames, also your weapons and whatnot, and learn the synergy between the things. But the next mistake is not utilizing the free blessings you can get from other players in the game. When you go to any relay in Warframe, level 30 players will have the ability to actually bless anyone in the relay. So if you go to a relay and get blessed by an MR30 player, you will get a buff for around 3 to 4 hours, which you will have on for the time you play. So if you need affinity, other things like that, just go to the relay, ask if anyone has a buff, and you might be able to actually get a buff. So definitely don't forget to do this if you need a buff, especially if you have to level frames, weapons, or anything like that. Go to a relay, ask if anyone can give you affinity blessing. That will help you so much while leveling. It will basically cut your leveling time in half, and it's a free buff any player buff MR30 can actually give. So just keep that in mind. So definitely don't skip out on getting free blessings when you actually can. So for the next mistake is selling your mods or Ayatan stars for credits. What I did early on was actually sell certain mods to just get a little bit of credits because I needed credits. Credits are gonna be so easy to come by later on in the game that it will almost feel stupid to actually do. If you are gonna actually sell your mods at some point, I would definitely recommend doing it into Endo, because your Endo is gonna be so much more worth it than credits. Credits is gonna fly in your inventory with anything you do in the game, where Endo is definitely gonna be much harder to come by. There is gonna be ways to farm it, but Endo will still take a lot longer to get than selling it for credits. For the Ayatan stars, you can also end up selling your Amber stars, as you can see here. I would definitely say don't sell these. Don't sell your Ayatan stars or Amber stars. You will have to wait, and you can actually put them into your Ayatan sculptures. You get sculptures while playing the game through a weekly mission and other stuff, and you can actually plug these Ayatan stars in. You will unlock auto install at MR10, but before that you can click on these spots right here, as you see, and you'll be able to install Ayatan stars straight into the sculpture right here. This will increase the value of the sculpture way more than just selling the Ayatan stars would. So save your Ayatan stars and don't sell those, because you will be able to turn them into way more Endo by putting them into a sculpture later on. So I would definitely recommend don't sell anything for credits. If you really do need credits, you can get it in so many other ways in the game. I would definitely recommend just saving your mods and Ayatan stars and don't sell those for credits. So for this mistake is actually forgetting to mod your pet with either the mod fetch or vacuum. This will help so much as it will increase your pickup range. I remember I didn't even know about this mod before later on when I actually began modding, because the game can feel very overwhelming and you might just skip over this as a thing. So when you unlock Taxion, with every sentinel or pet you unlock in the game, it will come with the mod fetch or vacuum depending on what the pet use. So if I go into upgrading for the Taxion, as you see this mod called vacuum, this will allow your pet to actually vacuum up any items that is in your vicinity of 11.5 meters. This is a huge improvement to looting in the game and will help you a lot. Do keep in mind that you probably want to make your pet as survivable as possible, because when it dies in a mission, it is dead. So I would definitely recommend trying to make your pet as tankable as possible, because when your pet dies, it will not come back. Certain pets can be revived, but if you fail to revive it in time, that pet will also be dead for the mission, and they will not come back in that mission. They will come back in the next mission afterwards, but just keep in mind that you will not be able to use your vacuum or fetch while the pet is gone, basically. So for the sentinel pets, which are basically the robots, you'll be able to put on vacuum, which is 11.5 meters in range. For other companions in the game, which are basically other pets, you'll be able to put on fetch. Fetch does have a little bit of a bigger radius at 13.5 meters and will definitely be on pets that is also revivable, as having a pet that's revivable is at least a little better, and you will not lose out on actually having the fetch or vacuum ability, where the sentinel companions will just straight up die. You might put on an ability where it comes back here and there, but just keep in mind keeping your pet alive throughout the whole mission and having fetch or vacuum on is definitely a very nice thing. I forgot to do this early on because I wasn't wasn't too sure about how the modding system worked. Actually, I feel like I have skipped out on a lot of extra stuff because looting range on a normal frame is so low, so you almost have to like walk on top of things to actually pick it up. So definitely go and equip your pets with either fetch or vacuum right now. But the next mistake is using trade chat. So as you probably have seen, trade chat is a thing in this game, and trading is how you actually get plat. But the problem is, in the trade chat, most people will probably try and scam you, or things are gonna be insanely high in price or value compared to what they actually are. There's this website called Warframe Market, which most people use to trade in Warframe. And basically, compared to trade chat, where you will probably be scammed if you're trying to buy anything, you can probably get it cheaper if you go to Warframe Marketplace. So before you buy anything, check out the price on Warframe Marketplace, see what the thing actually goes for, so you have an idea, because this will help you a lot to like price assess, where in-game trading will be a little bit here and there. Some people will definitely use it as a way to make plat because you can sell things in the trade chat for more than they sell on the marketplace. So just keep in mind, always remember to check the Warframe market before going to trade chat, as trade chat is probably gonna be the place where you will be scammed for a little bit of plat, as most people will not do the same prices as they will in Warframe market. There's its ups and downs here and there, but just keep in mind there is the Warframe marketplace, and I would definitely recommend you checking that out if you are planning to do trades in game. So there will be a link to Warframe market down in the description. Definitely check Warframe market out, as that is basically where all trading in Warframe takes place. There is of course the in-game chat here. I would definitely recommend using the Warframe marketplace until you have a better understanding of what value the different items are and what things actually cost. Try and keep away from the trade chat early on, as that it might also be a little bit overwhelming, as you see right here. Want to sell, want to buy, it's a lot of things, and you probably don't know the value of half of these items, as I have seen multiple people actually paying way more than they should have for certain items because they bought it from trade chat. So that's the 10 mistakes I wish I have known about before I actually went out and did those, and what I have learned through playing a little bit of Warframe. Feel free to comment on any mistakes you did when you started out playing Warframe, and maybe you will be able to help someone else. I know there's a lot of extra mistakes and other things and tips and tricks you can learn about in this game. These are just the 10 mistakes that came from the top of my head when I was thinking about making this video. So hopefully this has helped you on your journey as a new player, or maybe even as an older player of the game. But keep in mind, Warframe is definitely not a sprint, it is more of a marathon. You will learn as you go, and you will learn and learn and learn, and the more knowledge you gather as you play will definitely make the game more easy to play. The game is gonna be overwhelming at the start, but the more you learn and the more time you play and learn, you will definitely begin understanding the game way better. Extra note, we do have a Discord link down in the description where we have a little community. We have fashion, we have memes, and we have things. You will all be more than welcome to join that. That's it for the video, so if you found this video helpful, be sure to leave a like and a comment on a mistake you maybe or maybe not did early on. I would be more than happy to read through all of those. On top of that, we actually do live stream on Twitch too, most days. And other than that, see you next time. Peace out.